the chairman of the Constitution Review Committee, Professor Prempeh, to the studio. Good morning, sir, and welcome to Newsfile.
Samson, thanks for having me.
Right. I also want to welcome Madam Charlotte Osei. She also definitely doesn't need an introduction. I'll say something briefly about her, and then I'll get Professor Prempeh to try to introduce us to get to know a bit about the other members that he served on the committee with. So Charlotte Osei has over 30 years experience as a lawyer with professional expertise across the private, public, and not-for-profit sectors. She's former chair of Ghana's Electoral Commission, and before that, she was the chair of the National Commission for Civic Education, becoming the first woman to head both independent constitutional institutions or constitutional bodies. She has held several key international roles, including serving as president of the African Association of Election Authorities, vice chair of the executive board of the African Capacity Building Foundation, and a UN-appointed international elections campaigner in Afghanistan. International Elections Commissioner, not campaigner, in Afghanistan, where she helped strengthen electoral dispute resolutions. And she has also led ECOWAS election missions in Liberia, Nigeria, and Sierra Leone, and serves as a non-executive director of the Electoral Institute for Sustainable Democracy in Africa. I'll pause here. So, Prof, I will think that you would have counted yourself blessed to have these other persons serve under your committee. Dr. A.C. Ansah, Professor Kwame Karakare, Alhaji Ibrahim Tanko Amidu, and Dr. Godwin Jokoto. Who are these people?
And you are right, Samson. I mean, I think I count myself really fortunate to have really had the opportunity to head a committee with this mix of individuals from, various backgrounds. It really gelled together. The chemistry from the beginning was just, it's as though we had worked together before.
For the first time for many committees, we've had such gender balance. And I'm just, it's been good.
No, I think the mix was awesome.
Great.
A mix of lawyers, non-lawyers, male, female, people from all kinds of backgrounds. And so for me, I mean, from the very beginning, it was very clear to me, I'm not prophetic, but I could tell that this would work. I mean, that the chemistry was there.
Right.
People came with a very high sense of civic mindedness. I mean, they really were committed to this project in the interest of Ghana. And it was very, very clear to me that you didn't have ideologues with a particular agenda. I tell people, look, if I had to just sit at home and write this constitution, it would look very different. So what is there is really the product of a collective effort. We deliberated, we argued, we debated, but we took on board basically what it is that we had. And, so you have people here who really just shared whatever ideological, kind of vision that they may have had individually. They shared it and came to this with a very open mind. It's an awesome group. I told when we presented the report, I had to thank the president also for just putting a committee like this together and giving me just the benefit of such awesome experience. Every one of them just came to this task with something unique, something different, perspective. So it's mostly perspective. People have served in different capacities. You would think that, for example, Justice Adingra has had a long career in the judiciary, but also in the legal profession generally, starting from the Attorney General's department. And yet, even when matters pertaining, say, to some of the things that she had experienced, she was willing to not say, oh, no, this is my field. We didn't carve out areas so because you've worked your career in this area, everything there is sacrosanct, and then we don't. No, everybody was willing to listen to the other point of view, change their minds if they had to. We had a rule that said, look, we're going to make the decisions collectively by consensus. Where consensus fails, we would vote. But being an even-numbered body, the chairman would have the casting vote. We didn't have to ever get there. But then we also said, if you felt strongly enough after a vote about your position, you could write a dissenting opinion, almost like a Supreme Court. Right. So we offered people the opportunity and the freedom to really be free to share their opinion. And you couldn't have gotten a better. I mean, it's not that they were opinionated, but they took this task very seriously. Every person brought something really refreshingly different to this. And I think I'm very fortunate, really, serious. I couldn't have asked for a better committee, you know. So at the end of it, we've all become very good buddies.
Well, you have not ended. You are still working, right?
Well, we're still working. Okay, we're still working. It's true. Right. Our Christmas has been somewhat compromised,
right?
Because we still have the final report, full volume report, to deliver in early January. So what this is basically a report that sums up the highlights.
You explained that to the president when you were submitting it.
Sums up the highlights.
What would you like to say about the kind of people the caliber of people that you had the opportunity to work with?
Good morning, Sam.
Good morning.
Good morning, listeners. I think it was a privilege of a lifetime. Like Chrissy said, we had people from very different backgrounds. Even the lawyers among us had very different kinds of experiences that they brought on board. And everybody was very willing to listen to the other. And of course, we had camps. The abolitionists, we were like, abolish. And then we had the ones who were like, no, let's not abolish. Right. And then over time, you'll see how one view has influenced the other view. And some of the champion abolitionists became the reformers. So there was a lot of kinship. There was a lot of authenticity. Everyone was allowed to express their view. If we disagreed, we'll tell you this one day we don't agree. But generally, it was very, we were friends, really. Right. Friends, family, and everyone supported the other. So you would have maybe a non-lawyer who is struggling with understanding some constitutional concepts. And we arrange classes among ourselves to help people understand those things. And then even for us, the lawyers, there's a different thing from the text of the Constitution and people's lived experiences. And so all that came on board. So it was good. Right.
So let's begin here. On January 19, 2025.
May I add one point about hierarchy? You know, so you had people from different age cohorts, right? And in fact, it wasn't until we were on the committee that I even discovered that one of our members was actually like past almost 80 years, right? You couldn't tell from the energy that they brought to the task. But nobody pulled rank. And this was very important. No, so you had, of course, we have your usual cultural difference and these kinds of manners of dealing with people. But even those on the committee who were much older really just, related as though it was not about rank or hierarchy. And that really helped.
Great.
Because once you start these things about hierarchy,
at a point we even abolished titles.
Yes. You know, so it was really very good. I think the chemistry was just awesome.
Right. So January 19, 2025, you were appointed, and the president, his instructions to Callistus Mahama, PhD, Secretary to the President, wrote to you, and I'm looking at the terms. 1, identify and address the gaps in and the challenges with the implementation of previous constitutional review work done by the CRC and the recent Constitution Review Consultative Committee. Engage key stakeholders to solicit their views on the proposals for amendment of the Constitution. And 3, make actionable recommendations aimed at enhancing democratic governance in the country. For many of us, we thought that by these terms of reference, what you were going to do was a desk job. Yes, sit by your desk and look at the CRC's 2010 report, over 1,000 pages. Look at, that's Professor Fiajo's report. Look at Clara Berry's report, 2024. And tell us, do X, Y, Z. You are actually supposed to do it within 3 months.
Initially. Initially. I think our appointers were quite ambitious in thinking that 3 months would work. And in fact, that we immediately let them know that that was not doable. So initially we settled around like 7 months. We were appointed at the end of January, so effectively starting in February. The reason why our terms of reference could not be read the way you assumed was the part asking us to talk to key stakeholders. And who are stakeholders when we're talking about the Constitution? But the citizens of the country. This Constitution was adopted by popular referendum in 1992. If you are going to change it in any significant way, you will have to go back to the people. Many of these things require that you go to a referendum. Some require that you go to the people's representative in parliament. So when our understanding of key stakeholders were essentially talk to Ghanaians again, right? And in the intervening period between 2011 and now, what we also reckoned with was that a lot has happened. A lot of water has gone under the bridge. As of 2011, we had not even had a single election petition. In the period since then, we've had 2.
Correct.
As of the time the report was presented, we had not had the experience of even a president dying in office and triggering the processes for succession. We've had that experience. These are all constitutionally significant developments, right? We had not had a hung parliament. We have since had one, and how it affects governance. We have never experienced, sovereign bankruptcy, and we've had one. There are provisions on finance in the Constitution that would be impacted by that experience. Provisions on, so a number of experiences, and even in our region,
cataclysmic experience
in our
so
region,
to speak.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And look at what's happening in our region. The return of coup d'etat, right? It's something in the background, but if you follow the charter around it, if you follow the youth reaction to these things, democracy is on the ropes again in the region.
There's been the discussions about democracy backsliding.
Yes, so you have to take on board these developments that have happened since the first big report came. And then, of course, a new generation of, when that report came, I think we were calling them millennials. Now we call them Gen Z, right? This is a new communities of, citizen activists using social media in very different ways to engage. So you cannot disregard these intervening developments and say, we're just going to lift this off the shelf and just sit down and read and harmonize and that kind of stuff. So we read our terms of reference, and without disagreement from our appointers, actually, because we did go back and say, look, you've been talking about a national constitutional conference. What exactly do you mean by that? And this is our understanding of it. This is how we think we will proceed to do that national engagement. And they said, fine, that's actually consistent with our thinking. So we didn't really stray from our terms of reference. Where we needed clarity, we went back to our clients and said, are we aligned on this one? This is how we are proceeding. And
the National Constitutional Conference would suggest to me that your appointer had in mind, of course, the first of the terms is look at the previous work that's been done. So your appointer had in mind, we need you to aggregate. The work is almost done. Just bring people together to one conference and sort of validate, and let's move on.
That's one interpretation. The other, which we offered was, look, we want to disaggregate this national conference into a series of zonal engagements instead of bringing, citizens to Accra, which would mean essentially an assemblage of elites again. We would rather go to where the citizens are and engage them as the national conference, right? So we disaggregated the national conference into 10 zonal meetings. And we said, this is our approach. Is it aligned with your thinking? He says, absolutely. That's fine. That's one way of getting to the same end.
Okay.
So that's how we actually manage our terms of reference on that particular issue.
Maybe we should continue on the, consult.